Welcome to Moving Forward with Gayle Suzanne. So happy that you joined today. Moving Forward is a show about getting you to the next level, about breaking through any struggles that you have and getting to the triumphant side of things. Today I am very excited to talk about book writing. A few years ago, 3 years ago, I published my first book. And it was something that I've had in the back of my mind for years and years and years, and I just never put pen to paper. I had a lot of fears, I had a lot of anxiety, and this is one of the things in my coaching practice and with my teaching that I do in nightlife classes and different workshops that I do. This is the number one question that I get is, how did you write your book? And how did it come about? How did you do it? Because it's a huge, huge project. And what did you get out of it? And why did you do it? So my book is called It's in the Little Things. It's right here, In the Little Things by Gayle Suzanne. Oh, you guys can go back and look at my book. Today I'm going to give an honest account of my book writing journey. And hopefully by the end of this half hour, you will be motivated to write your own story. So let's just think about this. We all have nuggets of wisdom that we share. We may have recipes that we've collected over the years. We may have a love story in our heads that we just want to get out with Fabio on the cover. There are so many things out there, ideas, thoughts, experiences, knowledge that people want to share. And sometimes people think, well, I can't write a book because I'm not an English major. I'm not educated in writing a book. I'm not a famous author. I don't have any contacts. There are so many things that keep us from going forward and writing a book. Even though it's always nagging in the back of our mind, you know what, I really want to share what I've learned. I really want to put out there what I have learned, what I've discovered, and help somebody else. And quite frankly, a lot of the books that are written are either to help or to entertain or to take someone in a fantasy or to help them cook a meal or to just leave a legacy behind. So I want to share a little bit about me and how I actually started the process of writing a book. I was 47 years old. I had a great job. My family was awesome. The kids were getting older. I think they were teenagers heading toward their 20s. I was pretty busy mom, had a nice life. We went on nice vacations. And in the back of my mind, there was something nagging at me that I needed to put what I've learned in my life down on paper. And the reason was because I grew up in a rough childhood. I had an alcoholic mother. I was bullied in school. I had numerous rejections, abuses. A lot of pretty tough stuff happened to me. And then I was divorced. So I went through a lot of struggles. And in my early 30s, I felt pretty badly about myself. And I reached out. I went to self-help groups. I went to counseling. I did so many things, and I learned so many wonderful things about living on my own, about getting into a relationship, having a good relationship with myself, with my children, with my soon-to-be stepchildren. And I looked at my life when I was 47. I'm like, wow, it's so different than I was when I was in my 30s. And I have so many good things that I want to share. So I started writing them down a little bit in journals here and there. And my mother passed away suddenly about 5 years ago. It was in a car crash. And it dawned on me that life goes by like that. And we only have one life to live. So we might as well do what we can and just go out there and try to achieve that goal. Do what we feel in our heart we need to do. So many people that I know say, I really want to write a book, but I don't know how. I want to write a book, but I don't know a publisher. Still, again, all these doubts. And I had the same doubts. I'm from a small town. I live near an alpaca farm. I am not an English major. I'm a political science major. I have no author friends. I'm just a small town girl. But it was nagging at me. Gayle, what you have to share is your own story, and it can help other people. There was something in me that knew that what I learned along the way would be beneficial for someone who had a rough upbringing, who went through a divorce, who was rejected in relationships, who couldn't find the right relationship. So I decided to write my story. And it was hard at first. What I started with an outline, just a very simple, these are the things I want to talk about in my book. And I just went boom, 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 and listed them all out. And I wrote the book in 15 minutes a day, believe it or not. It took me 3 years to write the book, and sometimes I wrote a little bit longer, but I made a commitment to at least write every single day. And I wrote during my lunch hour, whether I was at work or working from home. And little by little, the pieces started coming together. Some people will email me, or they'll ask me in class and say, how did you put everything together? How did you get from your thoughts on 20 million pieces of paper, and sometimes, you know, they were on napkins or toilet paper. I'm gonna, you know, whenever I had an idea, I had to write it down, wherever I was, what room in the house. But eventually, slowly but surely, those little pieces of paper turned into a paragraph, turned into a chapter, and then turned into the book. My book, and I'll just put it up here for a minute, it's how I decided to write it was, my mind works in little short snippets. So it's like a chicken soup for the soul book. So there's 50 short stories, and they're all about life's ups and downs. And some are funny because I had to put my humor in there, and some are really emotional. And I was afraid to put the emotional stuff out there. I really was. One of the things about writing a book that I've been asked is, well, you show your vulnerability. You show your emotional side. You show things that, wow, I would never even tell anybody, yet you're putting in a book. And I felt that those things were the most effective to relate honestly to someone else. If I said I went through this experience and it was a rough experience and I didn't show my vulnerability, my anger, my hurt, whatever it was, and I wasn't honest about it, I don't feel I could have helped people as much as it helped them. And I have received letters. I've received jewelry in the mailbox. I see people in the grocery store now, and they're like, "Oh my God, you're the writer, you're the author in town." Because once I wrote the book and I finally put all my little pieces together, I decided, yes, I am going to break through my fear, the fear of everything, which is fear of failure, fear of other people judging me, fear of success, fear of criticism, fear of grammar mistakes. I mean, there's so many fears that I had to break through. And one of the ways I broke through that is, what is my motive for getting the book out? So it's been nagging at me for years, nagging, finally put a pen to paper. And literally when my book was about 80% done, and I thought to myself, wow, I can really do this. I can really get this thing published. I self-published it, but still, I could really get it done. All that fear came up. And I had been writing and writing and writing and writing. Everything was flowing, you know, just ideas were coming to me. It was really running smoothly until I hit that almost done mark. And then what happened was I became paralyzed, because I started thinking all those things. I started thinking, oh my God, what if I put this out there and somebody judges me? What if I put this out there and people don't like it, or they make fun of it? Or my tense is off, or my grammar's off, or I use a word incorrectly, or, they just think it's awful. And that paralyzed me. It stopped me in my tracks, where I didn't write for 6 months. And this is one of the biggest things, the hurdles that I help people overcome in my classes and workshops, is that their opinion is like a snowflake, or it's like a fingerprint. It's their own story, it's their own imagination, it's their own nuggets of wisdom that they want to share to help people. And I believe the world wants to see, or there is an audience for every single book that somebody wants to write. You know, some people like, well, I don't use big words like somebody else, some other author does, or I don't phrase it like the other author does. And you don't want to be like another author. You want to be like you, because no one else has your point of view. You know, sure, there's a million books on marketing, or a million books on how to get a job, or a million self-help books. But no one has your style, your voice, your specific way of writing, of connecting with people. The one thing that helped me was I was okay with being honest, and I wrote very simply. I started off at the beginning feeling like I had to write like someone else in the self-help genre. I had to write like them. And no, I don't. I wrote simply, I wrote from my heart, I wrote honestly. And what happened was my book hit 73 on the Amazon bestseller list, which is insane. Because I am a small girl that lives near an alpaca farm. I am like nobody famous, nobody special. I'm just like a regular average Joe that lives across the street. But the message was there, and I have received information or letters or whatever, comments from people saying, you really hit my heart. You really helped me accept a compliment. You really helped me see the good in myself. You really helped me let things go. And I'm not saying this to sound pompous or to brag or whatever. I'm just saying it to let you know that you can do the same thing. You absolutely can do the same thing. So many people say, I want to write a book, but they don't actually do it. And I am not going to say that it's an easy process, because it's not. It's just like anything else. If you're going to school, or if you're making an Afghan, or if you're doing a jigsaw puzzle, it takes time and it takes commitment. So those 3 years that I did write the book, I was committed to that 15 minutes a day. And you might think like, oh my God, that's 15 minutes a day is nothing. How could I possibly get a book done? And you can, as long as you have that commitment. So that's number one thing that I tell people to do, is say, commit to a time frame when you want your book to be done. I want my book to be published on September 1st, 2018. And then break it down from there. I'm going to work on my book 3 times a week for 1 hour on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, and make it specific. Make it the exact time that you're going to do it, because that, like anything else, let's pretend it's your favorite TV show. You're going to watch The Voice every Monday and Tuesday night from 8 to 9 or 8 to 10. The same thing with your book writing. Get that specific time frame. Find a nice comfy spot in your home. Somewhere where it's just yours, where it's going to be quiet, where the kids and the dog and everybody is going to leave you alone for that designated period of time. That's your special writing time. Don't sit in that place or any other time except for when you're writing. And just make a commitment that this is what I'm going to do. Keep notebooks all over your house. Keep them in your pocket, keep them in your pocketbook. When you're standing in line at the grocery store and this idea comes to you, just jot it down, or jot it down on your iPhone. Just always have something that you can keep your thoughts in, write them down, and keep note with them. Because Lord knows there are so many times that I thought, oh, I'll remember that in the morning, or I'll remember it when I get into the car and I can write it down. Of course, with my memory, poof, it's gone. So those are a few little things that you can do. Another thing is get a book buddy. And a book buddy is someone that will hold you accountable for writing your book. Maybe set a time that once a month they'll email you and say, did you get your writing done this month like you said you were going to? And hold you accountable for that. And what are the reasons why? And if you stop, if you have writer's block, if you stop, then just begin again. Begin again, because this is an important thing. You know, I've taught classes which I've had the most fun with people from all over the U.S. and Canada. I have clients and people that I've helped them with their motivation to get their book out. And the stories that they have are so interesting, and so, from their point of view, they're just so sweet or so informative. There's a client that I had that his wife passed away, and he was her caregiver. She had cancer, and he's in the midst of writing his book. And it is one of the most touching, beautiful stories I've I've ever read. And and sometimes he's like, well, I don't know if I can do it. I'm like, this is beautiful. People will be so touched by this. From a man writing from it was a love story to his wife who eventually passed. And then how he's such a wonderful grandfather to his grandchildren and dad to his children. There's another woman that I know that wrote a book on how to cook meat that her husband killed out in the deer meat and I don't know what else buffalo or whatever. So she has her and a bunch of women got together and exchanged recipes. So she's writing a recipe book for anybody who is a wife of a hunter. I thought that was genius. You know, other people writing about love stories of their parents falling in love and then separating during the war and then coming back together. Sci-fi stories, people's imaginations just run wild. So those things they're a gift that you can give other people. So I'd like to do a little visual or a visual meditation, I guess, with you now. I'm going to keep my eyes open, but if you want, you could shut your eyes and just kind of think about it. So what I want you to do is just take a deep breath, and if you're thinking about your story and all your fears, I want you to just put your fears aside and just take a breath and just say, you know what, I'm going to think about doing this because I think I have some good stuff to share. And I want you to shut your eyes and I want you to visualize yourself holding your book. Holding your book, your very own book. Just shut your eyes and say, okay, I'm holding my book, and you can hold a pretend book if you want. And just think about the cover that you decided to put on the book, the name, you can make something up, your little picture on the back, your professional photo on the back, your little bio, the synopsis of what your book is about, and that your book has a spine with your name on it as an author and the name of the book. And just visualize that you're holding your book in your hand. And it's like, oh my God, all these years and months and all this time of hard work, it's paid off. Here it is. It's the tangible product. And flip through the pages. Say, wow, there's 210 pages in here from my brain to the paper. And these pages are my heart and soul. It's my creativity, my imagination, my wisdom, my conversations. Everything that I've learned, it's in this book. And I'm so proud that I did this book. I feel so accomplished. And I want you to visualize yourself standing in front of a group of participants that are in an audience. And you're standing at the front and you're reading a chapter from your book. And you're reading it and you're reading it and you're not hearing a sound from the audience. And you look up and you see all these faces just waiting for every word that you say. They're just listening intently and just really interested in what you have to say in your book. After you read your chapter, you hear the applause. And you're just kind of like, wow, this is really cool. This is really cool because I really hit somebody's mind in the audience, or I really maybe connected with them, and it really could help them. So wow, this is pretty exciting. They're clapping for me, for my hard work, for something that I've had in my mind for so long, but I've been afraid to do. And I've been afraid because of things that I wasn't even sure was going to happen. You know, this fear sometimes snowballs, that we become afraid of everything and then we just don't do anything. But I know my motive is pure, and my motive is to entertain, to help, to educate, to guide, whatever it is. And then I want you to visualize a line standing in front of the podium where you read your book. And your talk is over, and then there's a big line of people that are waiting to, number one, buy your book, number two, to read what you have written, and number three, to pay you for it, which that's the cool part, right? And they want you to sign it. So you can write any little snippet that you want on there about to bless them, to give them hope, to inspire them, to educate them, whatever it is you want, a little note from them. And all these people are waiting in line for you and your book. It's pretty phenomenal. And you're sitting there like, oh my God, I am so glad I did this. I am so glad I took a leap of faith and actually did the work and published the book. I mean, it is an amazing feeling. I will tell you that right from the get-go. And if you are a business owner or someone who's a sole proprietor or whatever, and you want to increase your business, the book is the best way to open doors that you never thought possible. After I wrote my book, I had several articles written in the paper. I would contact papers or contact radio stations. I got my own little radio show for a little while, which, you know, it took me longer to figure out all the controls than it did to actually tape the radio thing. So I'm like, okay, I'm not savvy enough in the radio business, but it gave me that platform, which led to other things, interviews on TV shows, having my own show. I do not believe I would have gotten my own little cable show had it not been for my book. Because I think my book had given me the confidence to say, you know what, these things really help, and people really do need help out there. And just to have a platform to inspire and to encourage and to support and motivate you to actually do the things that you want to do. You know, life is so short. So with a book, it also gives you credibility. It also makes you an expert in the field that you're in. So if you love accounting, or if you want to teach a manager, let's say, to be a manager with integrity and to really go the right path in their work career, that's such a wonderful way to build credibility, to build you as an expert, and to have people come to you. So if you are a coach or if you're a therapist or something like that and you write a book, it kind of gives you that kind of foundation that, yes, I know what I'm talking about. And if you want to know what I'm talking about, here you go. Take a look. It can also open up speaking opportunities, speaking engagements, if you're interested in that. There's so many things that can open up, the doors that can open up, and your life can take a direction that you never thought would happen. So my big thought for you today, or my wish, is that you would start writing your book. Just get the pad and paper out. You can, if you don't want to write it, you can tape record it in your phone. A lot of my book, I tape recorded it during my commute, because I had an hour commute every day, so I would just talk into my phone, and then I would transcribe it later on. You can type it, you can write it freehand, you can write it in crayon. One other question that I'm always asked are, what is the right way to do it? What is the right way to put it together, to write it, to make the sections all flow? And I believe that you need to not censor yourself at the beginning. If you want to write everything. Just write, rather than writing a paragraph and going back and changing the paragraph all around and making it perfect. Because you're not going to make it perfect on the first go-round, and it might never be perfect. But if it's the best you can do, then just keep on going. People get stuck when they want to go back and edit chapter, paragraph after paragraph, and you lose your flow when you do that. So I would encourage you just to write. Write. And at the end, when you're done and you're ready to edit it, that's the beauty of the delete key, because you can get rid of half of this stuff. I had my book written, I rewrote the whole thing, which is not uncommon. But I had a foundation. So I'm like, no, I don't want to put that in. No, I don't want to put that in. I want to add more here. I want to take out here. That's the whole editing process. So I encourage you to not be afraid, to think of your motive, that you want to educate people, you want to help them, you just want to get your story out, you just want to write and use your creativity. And that's a gift that God gave us, our creative mind, our intuition, anything that you feel will help somebody else, that you're an expert in, that you feel that you know a lot about, that you're passionate about, that's the thing to write about. That is the thing to write about. Irma Bombeck had a quote that said, when I die and I stand at the pearly gates, I want to stand in front of God and say, I used everything you gave me. And that's a quote that I really live my life by. Just put it out there. I have information on my website. If you want to go on my website, www.gaylesuzanne.com, or if you just want to send me an email and just ask some questions, I'd be more than happy to guide you, to give you some advice, or just to tell you what I went through to help you out to get started. But the most important thing is to begin, to write it down and to begin. And then if you stop, begin again, because you can do this. And it is the coolest thing once you get people signing and reading your book and saying, wow, that really helped me. That really helped me. That's a gift beyond words. So we're going to wrap up now. This half an hour flew by. I really hope that you get going and write your book. That's my wish. Be blessed, and I will see you next time. Have a great night. Bye-bye.